Welcome back to the channel, and today we got a hopefully easy one for us. And in this one we're going to be using the shell command as well as a 3D sketch using Inventor. At the end of this video I will also link the one where I did this using AutoCAD 3D, so if you want to see the comparison to both of them, you can stick around to the end of the video where you can kind of take a look at that one and see what the differences is. But we're going to jump on this one here in Inventor. So this one should be really self-explanatory. It's a symmetrical part. It's nothing more than a bent piece of pipe, right? So in Inventor, we have to draw this using a 3D sketch. Now you can complete it doing the other way of making one sketch and then creating another plane and doing it that way, but it will take you a lot longer. And when you come to put the sweep on it, it's gonna kind of do some funny things. But in here, all we need to do is locate and figure out how tall everything is, which we do see we have a dimension of 5, which is rotated around here. And also what I want you to do is take note of what the fillets and radiuses are. Sometimes they're not labeled on your drawing. So you can see here it gives me the shell thickness, which means that that is the thickness of the pipe. So that little bitty gap in between here. You can also see that it tells me the diameter of here, and the radii for all of these little fillets here is going to be 0.1. So that's really important that you locate where these numbers are before we get started, right? Not so much in the beginning. We're still going to be able to create the sketch with it, but when we go to make those bends in it, we do need that number. And of course, when we get to the shell portion, we're going to need that thickness, all right? So let's go ahead and jump over to Inventor. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our normal stuff here. We're going to click on the new button here at the top, or I could have selected here. Either one will bring you open to this dialog box. We're going to assume that this part is millimeters, although we can run it in inches if you like. For, I guess, drawing sakes. Yeah, let's make it inches. So we'll go to the English, and we've been doing everything in millimeters. It's nice to have an inch drawing here. So we're going to use the English Standard Inches IPT. So I'm just going to double click on this icon. And once again, I'm going to give Inventor a little chance to load up. And this is going to give me time to say thank you for all the ones who are watching these videos and who are constantly subscribing and leaving me comments. I really do appreciate it, and it's really, goes a long way in helping this channel grow. So once again, a sincere thank you. But, as this loads up, just kind of be thinking in your mind what we need to create, right? So we need to deal with a 3D sketch. 3D sketches are different than the 2D sketches. Remember, we're going to deal with all three planes at once. But we still have to locate where the origin is. Now, you don't have to locate that immediately in the beginning, but you're going to have to do it, well, or what I like to do before I get out of the sketch, because that's going to help me when I go to create the profile that I need to sweep. So in this drop down here, I'm going to select the Start Three-Dimensional Sketch. I'm going to give it a little second, and once I ribbon change, I'm going to hit the line command. And the wonderful thing about this is that I'm going to switch to an isometric view just so I can see all three of these axes here. So depending on how you want to create your shape. So for example, I'm going to start off with this plane here. So I'll select it here. I'm going to click a point here, and then I'm going to go this direction. Now I can type in the length of that distance right now, and you see that I am getting the parallel to the z-axis. That's what's next to my cursor here. So I'm going to type in 10. And it's going to run it out that way. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. The next thing I want to do is stay on this axis. So this axis will cover me going up as well. You see it's giving me a parallel to the y-axis. I'll type in 5. I'll go this direction. Still, we're in that same plane that we stayed in, right? So I'm going this direction. This is going to be 8. Now I need to go back this direction. So I need to change the plane. So I'm going to select this plane here. And then I'm going to come along here, and now you can see that it's giving me a parallel to the x-axis. I'm going to type in 10 here. It looks like it's kind of loading up here. Oh, I didn't hit the enter button. Let's zoom out. Next, I want to get back to that plane that I was creating everything on, so I'm just going to select that plane there. I'm going to come this direction, parallel to the z-axis. 8, enter. Let's go down. 5. Enter, and then we're almost done with it. Let's come back this direction where we first started from, going this direction here, and we're going to type in 10, enter. So the most important thing you can do in here is making sure that you stay parallel to those axes. All right, so once everything is done, I'm just going to hit the escape button. Now you see that I have my profile created. Let's go ahead and locate this near the origin, right? So I'm going to use this coincidence. I'm going to select this endpoint here, and let's zoom in a little bit more. I'll select that endpoint, and then over here in my browser, I'm going to expand origin, and then I'm going to select the word center point. Okay, so all that did is just lock that endpoint to the center point, right? Okay, so I just did it twice, and just to show you that if you want to check it and make sure that it did do it, you can see that it says adding this will over constrain it. So that's merely all I did that for. Okay, go ahead and hit the OK button. Let's zoom out a little bit. All right, now we can go ahead and put those bins on. So that's what I was telling you in the intro, is that we have to know where those bins are. So let's go ahead and select bend, and we're going to type in the number 1 here. And then we're going to do all of these bins at one time, right? So I'm just going to keep going around my part here, locating all these bins. And there's a huge benefit to that, and I don't know if you see it happening here, but you see we're getting an f of x, and it's having a 1. So that means that they're all linked to each other, right? So all of these are linked to each other. Let's go ahead and hit the escape. The first one that I created is going to be the main one. So when I go ahead and change this one, all of these will change. For example, if I wanted to make all of these bins 2, I'll double click here, type in 2, enter, and then you're going to see all of those bins adjust. All right, huge super benefit, to doing all of those at one time. Let's escape out of that. Let's kind of zoom into it because I know it gets a little surrounded here. Just going to pull it out. Now I'm just going to double click on it and change it back to 1. Okay, so this sketch is actually done. Let's go ahead and hit the finish sketch. Next, we're going to create a 2D sketch. So I'm going to select here in the drop down, go to start 2D sketch. I'm going to select this plane here, which is my XY plane. Now I did create my origin here, so I can kind of work sideways on creating this next shape here. So I'm just going to go at it sideways, and remember that I'm going to use the shell command, so there's no need for me to put the thickness in here. All I need to do is create a circle at this center. So click on that green dot, which happens to be the origin, and then I'll type in the diameter, which is going to be 1. Let's go ahead and finish this sketch. All right, now we have everything that we need to complete this drawing here. All right, next let's go ahead and use the sweep, right? It should automatically pick up the closed profile for me, which it does. So it says, hey, I got that for you. Give me the path. I'm going to select here, and you're going to see that it gives me a preview of that path. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. Go ahead and hit the OK button. And all of this is completed on that part, right? So once again, I'm going to go back to that bin thing that I was telling you about before. If you looked at these and say, well, those bins, I wanted them a little bit bigger, it's easier to change them all at once. So I'm just going to expand where it says sweep. I'm going to come to my 3D sketch, and I'm going to double click on the icon here. Then I'll go to this one here. So remember, this was the first one I created. I'll select 2, hit enter, and then when I hit finish sketch, all of these should automatically adjust. Super huge benefit of using this in Inventor. And that's going to be one of the biggest differences that you're going to see when you do things in AutoCAD versus doing them here in Inventor, is that I can easily go back and change these. So I'm just going to double click on it and change it back to 1. Okay, let's go ahead and finish sketch. Last step that I need to do is I need to go ahead and shell this. So I'll go to the shell command, which is located here. Remember that in the shell command, it's asking me for a thickness. So go ahead and select your thickness, which is 0.0625. And then I have to remove faces, right? So what do I want that opening to be? I'm going to select here. And then I'm going to select this face here, right? So that's going to create that pipe and that hollowness throughout this whole model here. Once I hit the OK button, it should automatically do it. And now we have our completed drawing here. Let's go ahead and double click and just zoom in. All right. So hopefully this was nice and simple for you. There's no need to really make a 2D drawing of this since we're just kind of doing a pipe run on this. But hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you want to see me make a drawing of this, go ahead and leave that in the comment. And I promise you that I will, try to make a video on just kind of doing some dimensions on some of these weird shapes of this nature. But hopefully you enjoyed this. You know, we don't do enough 3D sketches, but you know, they're fairly easy if you kind of lay it out and know what you want to do. All right, so thank you, and hopefully you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.